Hello, people of the internet. My name is Vaatia. Whew, feels good to say that one again. And lately, I've been thinking about modern animation. But not just any modern animation, though. I'm talking about that good kind of modern animation. The kind that makes you run straight for the TV the second a new episode airs. That good kind of animation that makes you scream in agony, knowing you'll have to wait patiently to see what happens next after that crazy cliffhanger. Or is that just me? Yes, I'm talking about story-driven animation. Story-driven animation, to be exact, includes any animated television show telling a progressing story arc over the span of multiple episodes. Looking back at the many cartoons I watched growing up, it's surprising to see just how much animation has changed for the better along the way. It's honestly amazing to see writers freely express themselves through their creative work by the unique, heart-grabbing animation we've been seeing released over the years. But of course, this is still only a growing genre in animation. And it was only a couple of generations or two ago that there was very little to no story-driven animation at all in cartoons. That's why it's so important for story-driven animation to thrive, because of just how much of a rare but growing precious gem it is. The effect that it radiates on people who can relate to and express themselves through these characters from said stories, and most importantly, the evolution of animation that story-driven animation has created for everyone. Try hard to think back on what old school cartoons were all about back then. Wait, no, that's too far back. There we go! It's no secret that before the 21st century, there's been a running theme of cartoons made solely to sell toys of cartoon action characters to the little babies. Something that's still cleverly done to this day.
Money!
While these cartoons were just as memorable, having their own benefits, like being able to pick up the story from any point desired, they also had their downsides, like how characters were able to magically solve their problems with the span of one episode, which in theory would be a great way to solve your problems in 30 minutes, but unfortunately turns out to be very hard to pull off. And besides, it's not like you can deeply relate to a character whose biggest problem was how they were gonna beat up all the bad guys to save the day. Over the years though, as technology and the internet evolved, so did animation, which would go on to become more and more recognized as a media that everyone can fall in love with. More animation studios slowly but surely dared to try something new with their projects. Thus, the birth of story-driven animation. It all started with small changes. You would see shows that had an overall story happening while still progressing the story in a way that wouldn't leave the audience too far behind. But recently, title after title has released more and more plot-driven shows as compared to comedic-focused shows featuring the occasional serious episodes. For the first time in forever, American cartoons have shown a much more depth side of its face, one that's complex and detailed and relatable to its audience. It's not in any way unnatural to relate to some of your favorite cartoon characters these days, no matter how much your therapist tells you otherwise. The reason you're able to relate to these characters so closely is because the conflicts they face. The intense emotions, including the depth and seriousness resulting from the conflict felt, and the way the protagonist chooses to resolve their problems have all grown to be so real. Real talk. Some of the problems these modern characters go through on a daily basis, I wouldn't wish upon my worst enemy, okay? Although the things these characters go through shouldn't be wished upon anyone, these terrible things unfortunately happen to people on an everyday basis. I like to think that cartoons that can tackle problems like these tastefully are actually helpful to the people who can relate to stories like these. Story-driven cartoons often help to acknowledge that things like this happen, and that people who experience these problems are not alone in their journey. This is also why the growing diversity in animation is a magical thing too. With diversity, or the practice or quality of including or involving people from a range of different social and ethnic backgrounds and of different genders, sexual orientations, etc. Thank you, Internet Dictionary. Everyone gets a voice to relate to and express themselves freely in, and we can all take a look at each other's perspectives and learn amazing things from them, whoever them may be. Yeah. It's honestly a great honor to live in a generation that holds a wide variety of such diverse and complex characters in its animated stories. It's not like it was so easy to find youthful characters that looked like me and are also relatable, let alone a whole cast of color? Hold up! And yes, it may be true that the stories in these family-oriented cartoons don't always go as deep into storytelling as some may desire, or maybe there's some downsides to story-driven animation, such as long hiatuses. But there's no denying that story-driven animation is something worth fighting for. Even with its current downsides, story-driven animation has inevitably... Look at this alarm ruining my record. Even with its current downsides, story-driven animation has inevitably grown by the help of many passionate creators and teams of skilled animators. All of them working hard to make this magical genre a dream come true. The more thrilling stories animation studios continue to make, the more me and many other people, I'm sure, come back crawling for more. Besides, with story-driven animation, the opportunities are limitless on what story you can experience. From one cartoon, you could be nonchalantly swinging your magic sword through some cursed dungeon with your dog, all the way to the other cartoon, where you're some wrinkly old man horse going through some midlife has-been celeb crisis. Storytelling is such a magical thing. So much so that almost anyone and everyone can find an animated show that they'll fall in love with. It seems like society finally sees animation for what it is. An amazing tool to tell a heart-racing magical story with no limits on how far you can go. Reflecting back on the outstanding history of story-driven animation's growth, I've realized that animation undeniably took a long road to get to the point of greatness it's at now. Coming together to create a great work of animation in of itself is a risk. If no one watches and supports the animation, then it won't prosper and can't continue to go on. So it's only logical they'd follow the formula of succeeding cartoons, right? Many studios in turn looked at this as a way to keep the art of animation alive. They chose to create what seemed the most successful and made the most money, which in the past sadly didn't involve story-driven animation. Which of course makes sense, but as time proved to tell, sometimes taking the risk and trying something new can help you to grow to be better. Story-driven animation has found a special place in so many different people's hearts, and will continue to keep inspiring people in the future because of how realistic and relatable the characters are. It'll continue to charm people of all kinds because these story-driven characters are three-dimensional and have evolved to be so much more than just some mascot. And story-driven animation will forever remain dear in people's hearts far into the future due to the endless stories told through the magic that is storytelling and animation. Congratulations! You made it to the end of a Vaatia video. Be sure to like the video to help the channel grow. And if you like the video and this is your first time, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on what's to come on the channel. Hitting 100 subscribers would be a very big flex to show off. Also, it would make me feel like I'm going in the right direction as far as entertaining topics for videos. If you love art and cute little animated GIFs that make your eyes turn into little beating hearts, then check out my other art accounts and Instagram links below. I even post cool art there before it's revealed on the channel, so at the very least, it doesn't hurt to take a peek or two every now and then. But most importantly, don't forget to go out there and support some very good story-driven animation just like me. Until I finish binge watching this series, stay safe and I'll see you all next time. Bye!